Alright, in this lesson, we're going to be looking at reasoning and patterns. Our objectives are to understand inductive reasoning, to understand deductive reasoning, and to understand how to determine the nth term, which means we're basically trying to figure out a mathematical pattern. Vocabulary you may want to look up is inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. First thing that we're going to look at is inductive reasoning. Inductive reasoning is really just looking at data, trying to find a pattern, and then utilizing that pattern to determine what happens next. So we have 2, 4, 7, 11. If we look at this, from 2 to 4, we go up 2, or add 2. From 4 to 7, we go up 3. And from 7 to 11, we go up 4. So if we continue with this pattern, the next one should be up 5. Well, 5 from 11 would give us 16 as our next number. Then we'd want to go up 6 from there, which should give us 22. And from there, up 7, which would give us 29. And we could continue with this pattern for as long as we want. That's the inductive reasoning. We're just looking for a pattern and utilizing it. Deductive reasoning is a little bit more difficult in that what we do is we do some inductive reasoning to see a pattern and then utilize that pattern to make a general statement. If angle BAD is obtuse, so I have this angle BAD which is obtuse, meaning angle M, we're going to call it M here, since it's obtuse, it has to be less than 180 degrees. So we're just going to say that BAD is some measure less than 180, but it's got to be bigger than 90. So we'll go with, say, 150 degrees here. And in this one we'll go with, let's just go with 100 degrees. So then we say that ray AC is an angle bisector, meaning it's cut the angle in half. Well, if we cut it in half, that means that CAB here has to be 75 degrees in this situation, has to be 50 degrees in this situation. So if we want to know what half of M has to be less than half of 180, which is saying that half M has to be less than 90 degrees. So what we're saying here is angle CAB has to be less than 90. Well, what do we know about CAB then? Well, it has to be acute. Notice how we found a pattern utilizing inductive reasoning and then utilize that pattern to make a statement. The statement and the pattern together, as the reasoning behind it, is known as deductive reasoning. Lastly, we want to be able to look at patterns and determine quicker ways to find them. Here we have a bunch of terms, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then their values, 20, 27, 34, 41. Well, from 20 to 27 is plus 7, from 27 to 34 is plus 7, from 34 to 41 is plus 7. So based off of this, my reasoning tells me I should add 7 again and get 48. Well, what if I want the 100th term in this situation? For me to do that, I would either have to do 100 chances of this starting at 1 all the way to 100 to find out what I'd be at, or I can try and come up with what's called the nth term, or a mathematical pattern. What we do is, if we're adding or subtracting the same number every time, we want to make something repeat. Repetition comes from multiplication. So what we're doing is we're multiplying the term by this. So the first term has 1 7. The second term has 2 7s because we've got 7 and 7. So what we do is we go n as the term times our pattern, which is 7. And what we want to look at is how do we turn this into the values that we have here. So I like to do it twice to make sure that it works. So we're going to add some unknown number, we'll call it x, to give us our value. We want to find that x, because once we have the pattern, we know what we're multiplying by. Here, it's a positive 7. So we're going to go with 7 times 1 plus x equals the value, which was 20. So I'm going to get 7 plus x equals 20. Looks like x is 13. Okay, so we're going to try this again, same problem, just with 2 this time. So this time we're going to go 7 times 2 plus x equals 20. 7 times 2 is 14 plus x. Oh, this shouldn't be 20, this should be 27, because 2 gave us 27, equals 27 here. We're going to subtract 14 from both sides, and x again is 13, meaning that our pattern is 7n, and since this 13 is positive, it's going to be plus 13. So we can basically use this pattern to figure out anything. So like I brought up the 100th term. We would take 100, put it in for n, and we'd know the answer. So 7 times 100 plus 13 gives us 700 plus 13, which is 713 for the 100th term. So finding this pattern makes life a lot easier. Instead of doing 100 of these to get to the end answer, I can find the pattern and do it once. Okay, if there are any questions or things that you didn't get, please rewind, watch again, and bring your questions to class. Thank you.